Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and happy replay, crew. Thank you for joining me on Santini Radio, where we talk about real, relevant, and relatable topics. Come experience information you can use to further enrich your life and some benefits for others. I am your host, Frenchie Santini, a military veteran, a mom, duchess to my grandgirls, and godmother of over 20 various children. In short, I can and will bring you a vast of my own knowledge and my perception, and bring guests that you, our special viewers, will appreciate. So get your questions ready and enjoy another episode of Santini Radio. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and happy replay, crew. Come on now, if you're on the replay, type in hashtag replay crew. That helps us out. Replay crew. Yes, I am Frenchie Santini, and this is Santini Radio. And today, we're going to be talking about identifying a man-child. First and foremost, we must talk about our show last week, okay? Last week, we had Dr. Hunt on the show, and he was talking about his evolution of being a man-child. So he used to be a man-child and no longer a man-child. He is a grown man. But there is an evolution that goes on with that. So we just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Hunt, coming by and just giving us his information about him being a man-child and his evolution of being a man-child. So let's get right into it, okay? Let's talk about the definition of a man-child from the Webster's Dictionary as well as the Urban Dictionary. You know there's an Urban Dictionary out there, right? Okay, anyway. So the Webster's Dictionary, and I like to read it straight from Webster. Of course, man-child is a noun, okay? A man who has the qualities of a childlike man. That's from Webster. Now, the other definition, of course, the Urban Dictionary gets a little more colorful. Hey, what's going on, Amy? It gets so much colorful when you get into the Urban Dictionary. So it's an adult male who still possesses psychological traits of a child, okay? Traits include, but they're not limited to, whining, pettiness, trying to pass the blame for their own underdevelopment judgment to others, not stepping up to the plate when it's their role, okay? Secretly still finds third grade bathroom humor amusing and is able to connect with his children, but only as another child, not a father. So that is like the definition of a man-child in the Urban Dictionary, okay? So today, as I indicated, we're going to talk about the identity or identifying a man-child with some psychological definitions of a man-child. So let's get right into it. We've done a lot of research for this. So what we found out is Dr. Jordan Patterson, he's a Canadian clinical psychologist. He has a little video that we're going to go ahead and show you, and it talks a little bit about the meaning. He's written a whole bunch of books. He's written books on life's meanings, consciousness, men in divorce, and things of that sort. So you can go ahead and look him up, Jordan Patterson, on Google. And he has different conferences and things of that sort that you can check out some of his conferences. So what we're going to do is just show you a little clip about a man-child.
Story, roughly speaking, is Peter Pan is this magical boy, and he's the boy that won't grow up, and he's magical. Well, that's because children are magical. They can be anything. They're nothing but potential. And Peter Pan doesn't want to give that up. Why? Well, he's got some adults around him, but the main adult is Captain Hook. Well, who the hell wants to grow up to be Captain Hook? First of all, you've got a hook. Second, you're a tyrant. And third, you're chased by the dragon of chaos with a clock in its stomach, right? The crocodile, it's already got a piece of you. Well, that's what happens when you get older. Time has already got a piece of you. And eventually it's got a taste for you. And eventually it's going to eat you. And so Hook is so traumatized by that he can't help but be a tyrant. And then Peter Pan looks at traumatized Hook and says, well, no, I'm not sacrificing my childhood for that. So that's fine, except he ends up king of the Lost Boys. In Neverland, well, Neverland doesn't exist, and who the hell wants to be king of the Lost Boys? And he also sacrifices the possibility that he'll have a real relationship with a woman, because that's Wendy, right? And she's kind of conservative, middle-class, London-dwelling girl. She wants to grow up and have kids and have a life. She accepts her mortality. She accepts her maturity. Peter Pan has to content himself with Tinkerbell. She doesn't even exist. She's like the fairy of porn. She doesn't exist. She's the substitute for the real thing. There's a sacrificial element in maturation, right? You have to sacrifice the pluripotentiality of childhood for the actuality of a frame. And the question is, well, why would you do that? Well, one reason is it happens to you whether you do it or not. You can either choose your damn limitation, or you can let it take you unaware when you're 30, or even worse, when you're 40. And then that is not a happy day. I see people like this, and I think it's more and more common in our culture because people can put off maturity without suffering an immediate penalty. But all that happens is the penalty accrues, and then when it finally hits, it just wallopes you. Because when you're 25, you can be an idiot. It's no problem. Even when you're out in a job search, it's like, well, you don't have any experience and you're kind of clueless. It's, yeah, you're young, it's no problem. That's what young people are like, but they're full of potential. Okay, well, now you're the same person at 30. It's like people aren't so thrilled about you at that point. What the hell have you been doing for the last 10 years? Well, I'm just as clueless as I was when I was 22. Yeah, but you're not 22. You're an old infant, right? And that's an ugly thing, an old infant. So part of the reason you choose your damn sacrifice, because the sacrifice is inevitable, but at least you get to choose it. And then there's something that's even more complex than that in some sense, is that the problem with being a child is that all you are is potential, and it's really low resolution. You could be anything, but you're not anything. So then you go and you adopt an apprenticeship, roughly speaking, and then you become something. And when you're something, that makes the world open up to you again. Like if you're a really good plumber, then you end up being far more than a plumber, right? You end up being a good employer. Not that plumbers, I'm not putting plumbers down. It's like more power to plumbers. They've saved more lives than doctors. Hygiene, right? So, if you're a really good plumber, well, then you have some employees, you run a business, you train some other people, you enlarge their lives. You're kind of a pillar of the community. You have your family. Once you pass through that narrow training period, which narrows you and constricts you and develops you at the same time, then you can come out the other end with a bunch of new possibility at hand. And Jung talked about that. He thought that part of the proper path of development in the last half of life was to rediscover the child that you left behind as you were apprenticing. And so then you get to be something and regain that potential at the same time. Sacrifice. You get to pick your damn sacrifice. That's all. You don't get to not make one. You're sacrificial whether you want to be or not.
Wow. Wow. That was very interesting when I was doing some research on man-child. And we're going to start off with, of course, our new viewers' questions, the Santini Radio viewers' question. I'm going to give you about
when you're
30
checking
seconds.
LinkedIn, more than TikTok, it's time to find your fidelity. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Explore careers and apply today.
Okay. Maybe we're not going to do the new viewers' questions. Yes, we are. So, y'all, thank you for shouting out your state. Hey, Georgia, Georgia on your mind. Yes, Georgia is here and ready. You know what? Let's kind of talk about that video. I want to talk about that video that we just saw from Dr. Jordan. It's extremely important that we understand what he's talking about and kind of let's just like unpack that because it's really, really important. So the video made a reference of Peter Pan. Okay. We all know that Peter Pan was, just a fictional character, but so was Tinkerbell. She's a fictional woman. They talked about Wendy Darling, who had dreams and aspiration of her maturity. She accepted the plan while Peter Pan stayed in his limited beliefs. So he stayed in his childlike limited beliefs. He didn't want to move forward. And that's really disturbing. He didn't want to be a man. Okay. As the video continued to talk about this man child or this old infant, he explained the types of behaviors and he called them ugly. And it's just regularly ugly that now, you're an adult and you don't want to be an adult. You still want to stay as a child. Now, child potential is cute. It's very cute because when you're a kid and you have potential because you know that you're going to be going through things, but at the age of 22 and you're clueless, you can't be clueless at the age of 42. You can't be the same idiot as you were at 22. Now, by no means, if people are starting to, start their own business or they are looking for a job or something like that, it's not that you're being immature. It's basically that's what you're doing. You're looking for a job. You're trying to, create a new business. You're trying to, do things of that sort. So that's not immaturity because you know that there's a plan in place and you're not acting like a child. So it was really, really important that people understood that when you're a child, you need to stay a child, but when you're an adult, you need to be an adult. And we referenced last time the Bible stating that when I was a child, I acted as a child, and when I became a man, I acted as a man. So you know what we're going to do right now? We're going to go ahead and take a little commercial break, and we will be right back to talk more about identity of a man-child. We got a little fancy over here. We decided to get a little fancy, do a couple of videos and things like that. So thank you so much for just hanging in there with us. We were working on this for a couple of days, but what we want to do really is to talk about identifying the behaviors of a man-child. And we'll go ahead and put some stuff up. And the first one we want to talk about is codependency. And sometimes it's basically the reason why a man-child is a man-child. And as we requested on the viewer's question, do you know of a man-child? Have you seen the behaviors of a man-child in somebody that you encountered with? And of course, we don't want you to tell us their name, yes or no, and then just shout out your state whenever you want to. So the codependent child, man-child, is a man that may have a good relationship with his mother, however, was totally dependent on her, okay? The mom didn't let him grow up, did everything for him, and maybe made excuses for his behavior or protected him against anything that would not let him grow up and take responsibility, okay? Have you ever met somebody like that? Just totally codependent on his mama. Okay. Another type of behavior is the toxic relationship, which is the flip side. It's a man that does not have a good relationship with his mother. He doesn't want to use the relationship of women to replace what he stemmed to be a bad relationship with his mother. He runs around, he's sleeping around with people, just trying to replace that poor relationship that he had with his mother with another woman. Okay, with a woman. Now, that's the point, with a woman, but he's acting as a child. So that's that toxic relationship that the man may have had with his mother. Then there's the absentee mom. So that's the mother who has passed away when the child was young or whatever, and or left the child, just decided to just break out and leave the child, and his coping with that loss in a negative fashion, y'all. And he replaces that loss for a woman, the mother, and he just acts like a child. He's running from one relationship to the other relationship to find that perfect mom for him. That perfect mom for him. That is what that man child is looking for. Let's go ahead and look at some of these comments that we have out here. Hey, Dr. Irene. I hear Dr. Irene is out here. Also, hey, how you doing? Of course, we have Amy on the line over here. Yes, and my cousin Marie, she's in hot Georgia too. And this is the Bible verse in the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13:11. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. So if you guys want to go look in your Bible, 1 Corinthians 13:11, that is what we're talking about. You shouldn't be a man child. Okay. So we have maybe the reasons why a man child is a man child. Okay. But let's go ahead and look at how we identify that behavior. Okay. Those behaviors are identified in a particular way. Now, we've received a lot of information going through Google, going through some books that we had, looking at some YouTube videos to make sure that we can put everything that we learned together. But on YouTube, we'll go ahead and put in the links that we found some information. On Facebook, we'll also put those links. But we want to just kind of put everything in one place so you can find it instead of running around like we do. So one of the behaviors, or a way to identify a man child, just in case you're looking for him. Number one, he throws a tantrum. And if y'all know some of these particular behaviors, go ahead and put them in the comments. But him throwing a tantrum, not throwing himself on the floor or anything like that, but making you feel bad or yelling at you or just arguing with you, for absolutely no reason. And that is one of the behaviors of a man child. That's just ridiculous. Who does that? An adult finds an issue and they kind of talk that issue out and doesn't run to argue and, act like a kid. Some of us who are moms already, and we have boys that we raise, you got to be careful. Don't think that this can't happen to you. It can happen to you. And I'm saying it can happen to you, meaning it can happen to your child if you're not careful. So you want to make sure that you raise your boys as men, as well as the fathers who are out there. Raise your boys as men. Make yourself a good example. Don't let them throw a tantrum. Child, please. The second thing we found was he refuses to admit that he is wrong. Okay. And again, not indicating his own mistakes. I didn't do that. Oh no, I'm not wrong. You're wrong. And if anybody watched the first show that we had about gaslighting, a lot of these are parallel to gaslighting. Okay. So it's kind of difficult to figure out which behavior is what, because you have gaslighting where they don't admit that they're wrong. They're always blaming you for something. And then you have man-child where he refuses to admit that he's wrong at all. So you got to really look at these behaviors. Another one is he's a sore loser. No matter what game, no matter what's going on, he throws a tantrum, which is back to number one, and he's a sore loser. So when you're playing a game with him and you win, he's just like, he's teed off, and it makes absolutely no sense, especially if you're playing a game, you're playing Monopoly or spades or whatever. I love me some spades, but I'm not a sore loser though. But you're playing a game and he just, once again, throws a tantrum and is a sore loser. So that's one way to identify a man-child. Always blame somebody else for his actions, okay? Once again, that sounds again like gaslighting, just total gaslighting. It's not my fault, it's your fault. He cheated on you because you made him feel unhappy or you did this to him. Everybody hates him, won't blame himself for his own actions. And that is a identifying way to know that you're surrounded by a man-child. And sometimes it's not somebody that you're dating. It could be somebody at work. It could be just a guy that you know or whatever else, but it's good to identify them. And we're going to tell you ways that you can kind of stay away from that. Number 5, he's irresponsible with his finances. Okay, he doesn't spend money wisely. His credit is shot. This is a grown man. I'm talking about, I don't know what the age is that you're supposed to be a grown man, but there is an evolution, as Hunt had talked about. There's an evolution of being a man-child because sometimes things happen. We got it, okay? Voila. We understand. But when you're irresponsible with your finances or you have any of those other behaviors, oh my goodness. And nobody got time for that. Nobody got time for that. So if he's irresponsible with his finances, that is one of those identifying marks or behaviors of a man-child, okay? Number 6, he relished in his mother bathing him. I thought that was just so hilarious. And I'm going to read this one specifically from where we found it. Being a mother herself, the person who wrote this, I understand that no matter how old a man gets, he still has his mom baby, okay? She's always going to worry about him and want to take care of him. But most men are totally irritated by this and wish their moms would just leave them be. Now, a man-child, however, relishes in his mother fawning him. A man-child calls his mom the minute he has some sniffles, a bad day, or bad at work, just to hear her tell him how amazing he is or how he will get through it. He also loves when his mom makes comments about you not taking care of him and how well you should be taking care of him. So if you're in a relationship and you have your mama's boy, and sorry, it really does sound derogatory, but this is the behaviors of a particular or some man children or man-child. And he's constantly calling his mother every time something happens, and she's like, oh, well, she needs to be taking much better care of you, and this, that, and the other thing. That's the behavior of a man-child, okay? Let's go on and move on to number 7. He's selfish. He's just selfish. Me, mine, I. Me, mine, I. Me, mine, I. If that is constantly going through his mouth, then you have a man-child. Because when you're a child, as you know, male or female, it's all about you. Definitely, it's all about you. You're a child. You're in that progressive state of adulthood. You're in that bubble. You're in that progressive thing. Let me see. What was Dr. Jordan? He had said something that was so, let me see, because I wrote it down because I thought it was just absolutely on that path of development. That's what he said. You're on that path of development when you're a child. But at the beginning of that path or that circle of life when you are a child, it's all about you. But when you become an adult, it can't be about you. It has to be about, your surrounding people. And if you're, married or dating somebody, it needs to be about both of y'all. Yes, take care of yourself, but don't be selfish. That's kind of whack, like they said back in the day. So number 8, let's talk about he is all talk and no action. Okay. So he will constantly say, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna is gone because it is gone. Let me see. Bleeding into the current, yep, bleeding into the current relationship. Yep. Yep. Yeah, but he's always gonna do something. We all waiting for you to gonna do something. We don't want that. Okay. We don't want a man child who says they're gonna do something and never does it. I mean, sometimes anybody will say they're gonna do something, things happen and they don't do it. What are you gonna do? But if you have a man child and he's always talking about that he's gonna do something and there's no action, then you know that you've hit that behavior. Okay, number 9, puts his hobbies over his responsibility. And I thought this was kind of comical as well, because, sometimes some people have a boyfriend or a husband or a brother, who's constantly on the video games. This is 2022. We understand that the internet and everything else is out there. And it's fun to play video games. Hey, I play video games too. I only do dancing games. I don't play shoot 'em up and all that other stuff. But if I play the video games or dance games over taking care of bills, taking care of the mortgage, or taking care of my dogs, or taking care of my fiance or something like that, then that's not good. And there is a comparable man child for women too. So don't think just because there's a word of man child, there's not a word for women who act like little girls. Okay. And we will talk about that on a later episode. It's just, we want to concentrate specifically on man child so we can give you some information that really, puts his hobbies over his responsibilities. That is just horrible. And as I said, if you have a behavior that you think of, go ahead and put it in the comments. Oh, number 10, doesn't consider your feelings or opinions. Ooh. Now, we know from gaslighting, this happens. They don't consider your feelings or opinion, and it's really sad when somebody does that to you, whether it's a man child or whatever. It's really sad that could occur. And as I said, this is coming straight from, actually, these titles are coming straight from Romper, which we will put the link out on Facebook, on YouTube. We're also streaming live on Clubhouse, and I think we're also streaming on Twitter. I'm not sure, but that's where we are, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and we're streaming on Clubhouse. So not considering your feelings and opinions sounds a lot like gaslighting. They'll bring dinner home for themselves and not bring you anything. Don't even ask you for anything. Do you want something? What is going on? And there's nothing. You get, this is what you get. They're looking at you like you crazy. You thought that I was supposed to do something for you. You don't understand. It's all about me, sister. Okay. Number 11, they expect you to cater to his every needs. Oh, really? You need somebody else to do your laundry? Come on now. You need somebody else to pick up your dirty underwears off the ground? Oh, no, you need to go see your mama for that. I'm not that one. There's no division of labor. There should be a division of labor, especially if you're in a relationship, that you're in a home together. There should be a division of labor. There's also a division of labor if you're dating and things of that sort, because like my fiance, he opens the door for me every time in the car. And the first time he did that, I was like, whoa, he's got some manners, you know. But I said to him, and he's probably on here right now. He's going to be like, I don't believe you told everybody this. But anyway, what I said to him is don't start anything that you're not planning on continuing. Because sometimes us as women, we will allow a man to, open a door for us in front of other people. And then after when you get home, that's not what they're doing. But yes, my man opens the door for me every time I get. Sometimes I forget and I go and I open the door and he just looks at me like, really? And I'm like, yeah. Oh, hello, sunshine. Oh, let's say hi to Lucy. Lucy. So, it's really good that, a person, you have a certain expectation, okay? And if they start doing something, you want them to continue, especially if it's a good behavior. But if you have a dude, a guy who expects you to cater to him on his every needs, and once again, remember, this is not just in a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, husband wife situation. Sometimes it's in a work relationship. You got a guy who thinks that just because you're a female and he's a man child, that you're supposed to cater to everything. Now, I'm not telling you not to do things for your boss. Okay, do things for your boss. Don't say, well, Frenchie told me on Santini Radio that you're a man child. Look, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that. I'm just trying to let you know about the certain behaviors that are out there for a man child. When is the wedding? Okay, when's the wedding? Don't know yet. Don't know yet, Amy. We working on it. They expect you to cater to every one of their needs, okay? Number 12, he refuses to talk about the future. Holy cow. Yeah. That is definitely a red flag. Refuses to talk about the future because of the simple fact he's still 12 years old. You know what I'm saying? Or he's still, a man child. A man child is not going to move forward with, future plans, especially because he doesn't think of the future. He's Peter Pan. Okay. Remember how they used to talk about Michael Jackson, how he was Peter Pan and everything else? Well, that's basically a man child. Amy is cracking me up over here because she has these little comments. Yeah, got me glowing. You're so silly. Anyway, they refuse to talk about the future, and that's a red flag. Now, I didn't type up the other ones, but I'm going to go ahead and read them to you because I don't see any comments of other behaviors that people have noticed with men children, I guess you can call them. He belittles you to make himself look good. Yes, that is definite man child. He will talk about you in your face, behind your back, in front of people, to belittle, to make you feel small so that'll make him feel big. But meanwhile, other people will see that and identify him exactly as a man child because that's what that is. He can't take care of himself. That's another way that you can identify that behavior of a man child. He can't take care of himself. There are some men, and I'm talking about your brothers, your boyfriend, maybe even your husband, who has never lived by themselves. They left from their mom's house to their girlfriend's house, who ends up being their wives, or they left from their mom's house. And I'm talking to the younger guys out here or the younger girls out here. They left from their mom's house and went straight into a relationship, and then left that relationship and went into another relationship and went to a third and a fourth and a fifth, and has never lived by themselves because of the simple fact that would be like irresponsible. They've never lived by themselves. So he just can't take care of himself. He just refuses to take care of himself. So that's something that, identifies a man child. Now, another one is his friends are buttholes. It didn't say buttholes, but y'all know. His friends are buttholes. His friends consider quality time making fun of women at the bar and ranking your friends on a level of hotness. That's what it says. So when your man or the man that you know, or your brother, you see his friends are just buttholes, how they're speaking about other women and things of that sort, especially if it's your brother or a relative, a cousin, a male cousin or something. Pull their chain. Tell them, hey, you acting like a man child. You know what I mean? Because you're surrounding yourself with men who are speaking bad about women, and that's not what a grown man does. A grown man does not speak bad about women, even when that woman is their mother of their children. That's one of the things that I've always said that just irks me to the highest of irktivity. When a man that you're dating has a child from a young lady or a lady, and he talks bad about her. And it's like, why you talking bad about her? That she's this and she's that and she's other thing. If she's all these things, where's your child? Your child is with her. So how do you look that you have your child with this person that you called all kinds of names? Now, if something's going on between you and your the mother of your child, but your child doesn't hear it, doesn't see it, or whatever else, and you're just expressing, things that had happened, that's one thing. But when you call the woman out of her name and she's all this and that and the other thing, come on now. Okay, another one, he doesn't care if you get it during sex. So he doesn't care about your sexual needs. He cares about his own sexual needs. Okay, and we're going to move on from that. He thinks the kids are your responsibility. Now, this is for, people who have children with the man child. He thinks, hey, those kids are your responsibility. I go to work, or, I don't need to give them a bath. I refuse to step up and help because of the simple fact I don't have to. That's a man child. And he can't handle a cold. Okay. And there's a funny little YouTube video, which we may put out on our YouTube channel, about a man getting a cold and how hilarious it sounds when he gets a cold. So, per Dr. Jordan, adult potential is ugly. Becoming something that God has already put in you, because you know that every single person has a gift. Every single person, whether you're a male, female, it does not matter. Every single person has a gift. And when you don't operate in that gift, you're making God small, and God is big, and you're making yourself small. Whether you're a man or a woman, we're talking about a man child. So you're making God small, and that's a no-go. Okay. So you have to go through that path of development, like Dr. Jordan was talking about. And that requires planning. It requires execution. It requires a lot. Okay. Hence being a man, not a man child. You can read more of these articles. And we will, as I said, put it out there. Some of these behaviors and traits we found in men that we date, as I said, the men that we work with. And there is something you can do about it. Okay. There's definitely something you could do about it. And we spoke about that. Okay. If you are the man child, I want you to read this to yourself a lot. Get counseling. Grow up. Get counseling. Grow up. Get counseling and grow up. If you are dating or you have a relationship with the man child, get counseling and reevaluate your relationship. Get counseling, reevaluate your relationship, and get counseling. Okay. All right. I know the men who are on here are like, okay, what is the equivalent to a man child with women? It's called the archaic. We will definitely talk about that. We are gathering some information. There's not a lot of information out there. That does not mean that women don't act like little girls sometimes, because sometimes we do. And sometimes it's a whole entire thing of us acting like just a little child. Okay. So we will definitely talk about the equivalent of a man-child to women. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. We had a really good time putting this thing together. Understand that Santini Radio is a ministry. We are not a business. We don't ask for money. We do a lot of research for this information to bring this information to you. We want to thank Dr. Jordan Patterson and his YouTube giving us the information. We want to thank everybody who gave us some pictures from Unsplash. And we just want to thank you, our special viewers, for checking us out. And remember to like, subscribe, and share this episode and all other episodes. And check out our website, santiniradio.com. Our past episodes are on there, very old episodes. Sometimes there's links out there for you so that you can look at certain things if you missed something or you just want a quick, recap of something. And we appreciate you. If there are no other comments, let me just check over here and just give some shout outs over here. Of course, we said hi to Lucy and Marie and Amy. And okay. Amy says, awesome message. She's on YouTube as well. And thank you, everybody on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is down here. That's where I'm looking down this way. Thank you, everybody on Clubhouse who has joined on Clubhouse or is on the replay. Don't forget to put in replay crew if you are on the replay, and we'll talk to you later.